Hi everyone. I did my project on the novel The Kite Runner. This is one of my favorite novels growing up, and so I had a lot of fun creating this project for everyone. So I wanted to give you guys a really in-depth summary of the novel, as if you guys better understand it, you'll understand the rest of my project better. So The Kite Runner is a story that takes place in Kabul, Afghanistan, and you guys will see why the setting is so important to the story in a minute. Amr is the narrator of the novel. He recalls an event that takes place 26 years ago. This event changed his entire life and made him who he is today. Amr and his father, Baba, have two servants, Ali and his son, Hassan. They are Hazaras, an ethnic minority. During a kite flying tournament, Hassan runs off to get the losing kite. Eventually, Amr goes off looking for Hassan and sees him in an alley being raped by a boy named Asif. Amr runs away, and when Hassan brings the kite back home, Amr pretends he doesn't know what happened. Amr felt very guilty and decided he needed Hassan to leave. He puts money and a watch under Hassan's pillow and accuses him of stealing. Soon after, Ali and Hassan move away. The story jumps to 1981. Baba and Amr are forced to escape Kabul because it was being invaded by the Soviets. After a long journey, they eventually settle down in California. Baba and Amma work hard to support themselves by working at a gas station and selling things at flea markets. Jumping ahead, Amr marries a girl named Soraya, right before Baba dies of lung cancer. Amr comes to learn from Baba's close friend Rahim Khan that Kabul is being torn apart by the Taliban. He also learns that Hassan and his wife Farzana had a boy named Sohrab. The Taliban shot Hassan and Farzana and sent Sohrab to an orphanage. Lastly, he learns that Baba was also Hassan's father. Rahim Khan asks Amr to go to Kabul and bring Sohrab to Pakistan, where a couple will take care of him. Amr goes to the orphanage Sohrab was supposed to be at. However, once he gets there, the orphanage official tells him that Hassan was taken by the Taliban a month ago. The real journey begins as Amr tracks down the man who has Sohrab and realizes it's Asif. Asif breaks Amr's ribs and splits his lip. Sohrab saves Amr by shooting Asif with his slingshot. Amr and Sohrab then escape. Amr tries adopting Sohrab. However, adoption officials tell him that it is impossible to do so, as there is no proof that Sohrab's parents are dead. After hearing this news, Sohrab attempts to commit suicide, but fails to do so. Amr and Soraya figure out a way to keep Sohrab and bring him to California. However, Sohrab stops speaking entirely. Until finally, Amr, Soraya, and Sohrab go to the park with other Afghans and fly kites. They battle another kite and end up winning by using one of Hassan's old tricks. Sohrab smiles, and Amr runs off to get the kite for him. So this was just a quick summary of the novel. Here are some themes that I found in the novel. The first one being redemption and guilt. So, one feeling Amr constantly feels throughout the novel is guilt. First, it was the guilt of his mother dying, giving birth to him. The thought that he is the reason Baba is alone and makes him very distraught. In order to redeem himself, he tries his best to win the kite contests in order to bring home the losing kite to his father. However, the main reason for Amr's guilt comes from him not helping Hassan when he saw him being raped by Asif. Amr's journey, finding and saving Sohrab, is ultimately his redemption. The next theme I found was forgiveness. A huge aspect of the novel is that of forgiveness. It teaches the valuable lesson that in order to be forgiven, one must forgive themselves first. Owning up to the mistakes you've made in the past is the only way to put your mind at peace. Baba treats Hassan the way he does because his mind is not at peace with what he has done. He has kept the fact that Hassan is his son a secret for years. Because he can't openly show his affection for Hassan, he feels guilty treating Amr well. The last theme is political tensions. Most, if not all, of the chaos that occurs in the Kite Runner is caused by the Taliban. From the monarchy to the founding of the republic to the Soviet invasion, all of these events deeply impacted what was going on in the story. During the establishment of the republic, Asif is able to harass Amr because his father knows the president. Baba and Amr also must leave their home because of all the destruction taking place in Kabul. When the Taliban takes over, Hassan and his wife are killed, and Asif is in a position where he can indulge in his sexual urges without being punished. Amr's journey in saving Sohrab foreshadows that Afghanistan may also have its own redemption one day. Just like how Amr made up for the mistakes he's made in the past, Afghanistan may go back to being the beautiful and peaceful place it was during his childhood. Okay, so here's the archetypal analysis. So the hero I found in the novel is Amr. In the beginning parts of the novel, the hero was not clear as being Amr because he made some poor choices. However, learning from his mistakes, he redeemed himself by embarking on a mission to save Sorab. The journey he went through to save Sorab was him searching to become whole again. Amr was a hero all along. He just needed a push in the right direction, and he needed someone to believe in him the way Hassan did. That brings us to the mentor. The mentor I found was Rahim Khan. Rahim Khan gave Amr lots of advice while he was growing up and even when he moved away to California. Rahim Khan called Amr and told him that there is a way to be good again. This really motivated Amr. He motivated him to make things right and was behind Amr's redemption. When Baba would ignore Amr, Rahim Khan was always there for him. He gave him knowledge and acted as a second father for him. Then we have the Shadow. The antagonist of the Kite Runner is Asif. He represents all the evil and the corruption in the world. He raped Hassan early in the novel and then uses Sarab for his sexual urges. His only motive we really see is his hatred for Hazaras. Then we have the Herald. The Herald of the novel would also have to be Rahim Khan. We see this when Rahim calls Amr and tells him that Baba was Hassan's biological father. This news has an immense effect on the rest of the novel. Amr finally understands why Baba would ignore Amr. Baba felt guilty giving Amr attention when he couldn't give Hassan the same type of attention. This news that came from Rahim was a huge realization for Amr. Okay, so here are some big questions. For before the novel, this is a list of good questions to ask your students. Do you believe in redemption? In other words, if someone does something wrong, do you think that their future decisions can trump the mistake that they made? How does the government affect your life on a day-to-day basis? Is there a limit to how much a person should forgive? In what ways can a religion tear apart a country? What are some struggles an immigrant would face when moving to a different country? Here are some questions for during while reading the novel. Can too much power be a bad thing? Is it possible to love someone but still betray them? Is it possible to maintain your own culture while living in a different country? And here are some questions for after. In what ways would your life be different if you lived in a third world country? Can you think of a time in history when a country underwent a change in power that negatively impacted its civilians? Have you ever witnessed someone being discriminated against because of a physical feature or because of their religious beliefs? Okay, here's some information I found on while I was deciding what grade level this novel would best be read in. Um, So I would suggest that teaching the Kite Runner to high school students would be the best. The Scholastic website states that the reading level grade equivalency is 6.8 and that the interest level is grades 9 to 12. I think the material in this novel is a bit too mature for middle school students, but I think that it would be perfect for high school students. Okay, so here are some key concepts. So I would use the Kite Runner to teach my students valuable lessons about jealousy, forgiveness, loyalty, bullies, the power of words, and much more. My main goal is for them to be overall better people after reading this novel. There really is so much wisdom in this novel that's just waiting to be discovered. This can lead teachers to teach their students about theme and main idea. The Kite Runner encompasses several themes, and so it's a great novel to use to practice identifying them with your students. The Kite Runner can also be used to explore the parts of a story, including exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution. Teachers can also use it to teach their students how to analyze characters, setting, and plot. I would love for the Kite Runner to give my students some insight on the Middle East and the Soviet invasion. From reading this novel, they should be able to get an idea of the effects the Soviet invasion had on Afghanistan and its people. One last concept that can be learned from reading this novel is how much of an impact one person can have. For example, Asif looked up to Hitler and therefore had such strong feelings about Shia versus Sunni Muslims. Because of Asif, so many horrible things took place throughout the novel. This can teach our students that in order to stop history from repeating itself, we must study and understand the past. So here are some concerns that others have had about the novel, and that I sort of do as well. So the Kite Runner does contain a lot of language and violence. However, I think that the inclusion of these things have its fair share of benefits as well. Though Asif uses profanity and insults Hassan and Amr in several parts of the novel, Hosseini show that his words affect the characters. I'm sorry. Hosseini shows how his words truly affect the characters. He shows how much power words truly have. I believe this is a crucial lesson our students must learn. This lesson is far more important than keeping our students shielded away from foul language or violence. In the case of this novel, the benefits of the inclusion of language and violence trumps any concern I have sharing this novel. Another concern one may have with bringing this novel into schools is its many references to murders and war. Because the novel takes place in the Middle East, the characters' lives are being heavily impacted by changes in power. The Taliban brings terror into Afghanistan and destroys the city that was once Amar's home. The inclusion of the Taliban is not to the novel gives students the opportunity to learn about how evil has no religion. The Taliban claims to be an Islamic group, however, they have killed thousands and thousands of Muslims. Even though the Kite Runner brings up this rated R material, students can truly benefit from learning about the conflicts in the Middle East. Okay, so here are some applications I found that would work great um, when it comes to introducing this book in the classroom. So first off, I would have my students keep a journal while they're reading The Kite Runner. So wherever the novel goes, the journal should follow. This way, if a student has a thought or question, they can jot it down before they forget it. The purpose of this journal is to encourage students to express their ideas on paper. Journaling will allow them to grow their ideas. They may start off by writing about one thing, and then without realizing it, they will get into something even deeper. I wouldn't check their grammar or their wording when reading their journals. This way, they are only focusing on their ideas. I've always believed that graphic organizers can be very helpful if used properly. I would create a character web for my students to fill out while reading The Kite Runner. This way, they can keep track of everyone that comes up along the way. After finishing the novel, I would have my students write letters to Hassan from Amar's perspective. The point of this activity is for students to hop into Amar's shoes and think about why he might have done all the things he did. Why did he not help Hassan when he was being raped right in front of his eyes? Why did he set him up by putting a watch and money under his pillow? Why did he need Hassan to go away? Where did this resentment come from? When the students try to come up with explanations for Amar's behavior, they will be analyzing him and the events that took place without even realizing it. So, like I mentioned before, the Kite Runner provides a great opportunity to learn about theme. The graffiti method is a learning strategy that one can use. So first, the teacher and the students brainstorm a list of possible themes the novel expresses. Then, as a class, we take a vote to narrow down the list to the top 5 most prevalent themes. On 5 large sheets of poster paper, I would title each one a different theme and hang them around the classroom. After putting students into groups of 4 or 5, each group will go to a poster board. With the novel in hand, they will write down quotes or passages that pertain to the theme written on the poster paper. I will have them rotate around the classroom every 3 minutes. Once each team has already visited a poster board, the activity will get tougher. They will have to dig even deeper into the novel to support their various themes. This will encourage my students to dig past the surface in order to think about the novel in a variety of different ways. Another great strategy is the fishbowl. This fishbowl is a teaching strategy where a few students get into a fishbowl circle and share their ideas and opinions on a topic. In this case, I would ask my students a big question pertaining to the kite runner and have the students in the fishbowl discuss it. The students outside of the fishbowl are to listen carefully to the discussion taking place. Each student in the fishbowl can tap out and tap another child into the bowl. This is a great way to have a structured debate about a topic without it getting out of hand and also ensures every child has a chance to participate. The fishbowl strategy can also be a great pre-writing exercise. I would follow this activity up with a writing prompt so that my students can use what they've learned from their classmates to make a written response. Okay, so this is the first passage I found that I thought was really significant. Ali and Baba grew up together as childhood playmates, at least until polio crippled Ali's leg. Just like Hassan and I grew up a generation later. Baba was also telling us about the mischief he and Ali used to cause, and Ali would shake his head and say, Ba'aga Sahib, tell them who was the architect of the mischief and who was the poor laborer. Baba would laugh and throw his arms around Ali, but in none of these stories did Baba ever refer to Ali as his friend. The curious thing was, I never thought of Hassan and me as friends either, not in the usual sense anyhow. Never mind that we taught each other to ride a bicycle with no hands, or to build a fully functional homemade camera out of cardboard box. Never mind that to me the face of Afghanistan is that of a boy with a thin boned frame, a shaved head, and a low set of ears, a boy with a Chinese doll face perpetually lit by hair-lipped smile. Never mind any of those things, because history isn't easy to overcome, neither is religion. In the end, I was a Pashto and he was a Hazara. I was a Sunni and he was a Shia. And nothing was ever going to change that. Nothing. So the importance of this passage is that Amr is reflecting on what he remembers about Baba and Ali's relationship. This is a significant memory because it not only gives the readers insight on social class, but it also shows the separation of Shia and Sunni Muslims. So the signpost I found for this passage is aha moment. Amr's thoughts regarding the separation between Baba and Ali help us better understand the plot. Because of this passage, certain parts of the novel will make a lot more sense to us. Okay, here is the second passage. The Afghan soldier said something too, in a low, reasoning voice, but the Russian soldier shouted something that made the other two flinch. I could feel Baba tightening up next to me. Karim cleared his throat, dropped his head, said the soldier wanted a half hour with the lady in the back of the truck. The young woman pulled the shawl down over her face, burst into tears. The toddler sitting in her husband's lap started crying too. The husband's face had become as pale as the moon hovering above. He told Karim to ask Mr. Soldier Sahib to show a little mercy. Maybe he had a sister or a mother. Maybe he had a wife too. The Russian listened to Karim and asked a series of words. It's his price for letting us pass, Karim said. He couldn't bring himself to look the husband in the eye. But we've paid a fair price already. He's getting paid good money, the husband said. Karim and the Russian soldier spoke. He says, every price has a tax. That was when Baba stood up. It was my turn to clamp a hand on his thigh, but Baba pried it loose, snatched his leg away. When he stood, he eclipsed the moonlight. I want you to ask the man something, Baba said. He said it to Karim, but looked directly at the Russian officer. Ask him where his shame is. We rode in silence for about 15 minutes before the young woman's husband suddenly stood and did something I'd seen many others before him. He kissed Baba's hand. So the importance. This passage takes place during Amr and Baba's journey to Pakistan. Baba stands up for the husband and his wife, knowing that his own life would be on the line. This shows that even though Baba has made some bad decisions in the past, such as ignoring Amr and not admitting that Hassan is also his son, he still has morals. It also implies that his morals stem from religion and culture. So a signpost that I found for this passage was contrasts and contradictions. By this point in the novel, we have witnessed Baba ignore Amr several times and be emotionally distant and impatient. In this passage, however, we see a different side of Baba. He surprises all of us as he sacrifices himself to keep the Russian guard from raping the woman. So that's it. That's my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it.